Isn't it, when you're part of a huge family and of course you read the situation and think, well, actually I believe I'm popular, whatever people are saying, particularly when you're someone like the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. Obviously her team tell her that she's popular around the world, and when you look at the figures, whichever way you look at them for Spotify, it appears that people are interested in what she has to say, albeit good or bad. But now for Meghan as ever, she's decided that actually it's the media once again to be blamed. She is in fact popular. Let me explain. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. Yes, that is the beautiful Tower Bridge behind me. Wonderful when you think about it. You can go on a tour, by the way, and I just think it's, again, when you're walking through history and you look at the people that really did do so much to create so many wonderful pieces of architecture that make London, the United Kingdom, Scotland, Ireland and Wales such a beautiful place to come and visit. There's so many rich tapestries of history here in the United Kingdom. You must come and see it. I always get a bit of a chill, by the way, when you go near Tower Bridge, because if you read up on the stories, it's quite dark. Let's just leave it there. Back as ever to your Breaking Ball story of the day. This story is fascinating really because, as we said, you know, when you think about it, Meghan Markle has had a tough ride and it's all her own doing, you know. She seemingly can't stick to the right narrative, good or bad. But what is important is with Meghan as ever, she seemingly wants to create her own truth, her own narrative. Now what I find fascinating about this particular story is when you consider the media themselves print the story that of course they're picking up from, whether it's been the book by Tom Bower's Revenge, or indeed things that she said openly on her podcast or given in interviews herself, like with Oprah Winfrey, or indeed the recent one, The Cut, in a New York magazine. What's also interesting to note is that Meghan now feels that she's been given unjust coverage, and as ever, let me explain. As we all saw on that recent walkabout in Windsor, there Meghan was rather brazenly getting out of the car, looking a little bit nervous, some might say, but at least she got out the car. She was ready and willing to meet the public. Now, according to a very good source, Meghan was terrified about how the public might perceive her, particularly over here in the United Kingdom. But all those fears were, well, pushed away very quickly, because apparently, according to a very good source, Meghan now feels validated because the British people do like her, according to her. Now you can understand how this could be the case, because there she is in a very delicate situation, the sad demise of our wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, and there's the crowd seemingly happy to see her. Some people were. Of course, that's the cult of celebrity. You can't always believe you're standing in front of the person that you've only ever seen on a magazine. So for her now, what she really feels, according to that good source, is that really they are ready and willing to, shall we say, embrace their return at some point back to the United Kingdom. While she doesn't necessarily like being here in England, you know, it's not her natural home, she feels at least that all the stories that she's read about herself and those that have been fed back to her by a very expensive PR team are in fact correct. She's liked. And more importantly, what happened on Saturday proves that to be the case. As ever with Meghan though, this is her own story and her own narrative. Whichever way you look at it, seemingly everything she said prior to this has now been swept under the carpet. Moving forward though, it's not just the British public that have to forgive her, it's senior members of the monarchy. And can they do that? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.